Okay, so welcome people. We'll just wait a couple of minutes for everybody to arrive in the Zoom room. And that's alarming. No, Phil, where have you gone? I hope you're still there. I can't see you anymore. There you are. Don't scare me like that.
Sorry about that. Just had a kid's drop off. So.
All right. Well, we might make a start, and no doubt there'll be a few others that that come in. So, okay. Welcome everybody to the August Tech Talk with Ada, and we've got Phil here. Remind me what your role is, Phil.
I'm the product lead at Ada, but also I'm a chartered accountant and spent many years in the accounting business. Also run a side practice. Ah,
good. Okay. Yeah. So Ada is a great advisory platform, and I've had a little bit to do with it. I don't use it currently, but I have seen it, people, so I can attest to what a great product it is. And we'll chat throughout the talk. And as usual, if you've got questions, throw them in the chat box, the Q&A. We'll get to them when we can, and there'll be time at the end for questions. And so, yeah, looking forward to showing you all what Ada can do and how it can help you run your business more efficiently. So, Phil, over to you.
Cool. Thanks, Jo. Awesome. So I'll give you guys a bit of context. So Ada was, Ada's vision was to help small business owners be more successful through their accountants and bookkeepers. And essentially, we started off with a mobile app that was around tracking, sort of key performance drivers around their leading indicators, around their Xero data, around their Google Analytics, around their point of sale information. But what we found is that small business owners weren't necessarily accountable or understandable of the information without their accountants. So we did a bit of or not necessarily a flip, but we gave the control to the accountants and bookkeepers in terms of the information, in terms of what needs to be communicated, to the client in terms of their performance thresholds and whatnot. So we thought, how can we help accountants and bookkeepers be more efficient? Also make sure that they're talking to all their clients across the data, cash flow, taxes, and profitability space. And also the end result being, how can we help small business owners engage in financial information? So with that, our main purpose is that we want, small business owners to be accountable for their bookkeeping. If they are doing their bookkeeping, getting their data right, ensuring that they are managing their cash flow and their taxes, and then understanding profitability information and their key performance drivers. So we think if the accountant can talk to their client across those areas, they'll be more successful, and in turn they'll have happy clients and a stickier, happy relationship that'll be fruitful. So yeah, that's our purpose.
Yeah, great. And regular visitors to the Tech Talks will know that cash flow is a topic that comes up quite often, and it's one that a lot of us have trouble getting our clients interested in, especially the smaller businesses. We want them to understand it, but it's they either don't see the importance of it or they're just it's too hard for them. So anything that helps them get a handle on understanding their finances, I think is a great tool.
Yeah, we've definitely had a lot of feedback to that effect, that I guess this a profit and loss statement or a net profit graph doesn't really represent the money that's in their bank account, and it's kind of breaking it down to actually what are the key movements that affect their bank account. It's not just the profit and loss and whatnot, but it's, engaging with the small business owner, it, comes back to ultimately what are their personal goals. So how can we relate their, financial goals on a monthly, yearly basis back to their, 5 to 10 year plan in their personal life. So
great.
Yeah, cool. Should I kick off with a bit of a demo? And
go for it.
Awesome. All right. Okay. So hopefully everyone can see my screen. So as I said, the AIDA advisory platform was built to make accountants and bookkeepers more efficient, and we've been working with accountants and bookkeepers like yourselves to get feedback to kind of craft this platform to, ensure that you're across your customers' data, across their taxes, across their cash flow, and then across their profitability and key business drivers. So essentially, you've got a platform where you can monitor all your clients at scale and manage them by exception. So on the left-hand side, you've got the clients here. You've also got an industry filter assigned to the industry class in Xero. And then you've got the data health section. And that shows you the unreconciled items and then the oldest unreconciled date. You can also sort this, so you can sort your clients based on who needs to do the most reconciled items, for example. And then also with the GST period completion, that breaks down the number of transactions that are reconciled versus unreconciled in that GST period. So when it's coming up to key GST due dates, you can sort those clients and then jump in and see what needs to be done. The same with the cash flow section. If it's the start of the month and you want to send your customers a cash flow forecast, you can sort by who has the biggest or highest risks in the cash flow area. We've got a plug and play cash flow forecast that I'll take you through later. But the idea behind that is to ensure that any customers that don't have an eye on their cash flow and whether or not they've got key taxes coming up, is to make sure that their accountant is able to talk to those customers at scale with regards to a cash flow forecast. So there's no configuration involved. It's just a straight plug and play forecast. The income tax forecast and the tax and compliance section is around the up and coming taxes. So it looks at the current year or the current GST period taxes due versus the previous period, and gives you a sense of if it's up or down above the 20% threshold, it will raise an alert. And the idea behind this is to proactively alert your customers to which ones might need to pay more or less tax, and just to avoid that bill shock. We know that it's sometimes painful to wait for all the information to be reconciled before you want to send your customers, the GST information ahead of time. So with the GST forecast and the income tax forecast, you can send those to your customers ahead of time to ensure that they've got that cash flow visibility and planning ahead of place. And the profitability section is around the revenue year to date up to the last complete month. And as you'll see, just something that I didn't mention, just with the reconciliation date. So something that we do is that we look and ensure that the data is reconciled up to the last complete month. If that is not the case, then we won't raise an alert on it. So the data needs to be reconciled for us to, raise an alert or show you the significant increase or decrease. So that's just bringing in that data context into the calculation to ensure that you are looking at an apples with apples calculation. Cool. So that's our overview screen. I'll just jump into, sorry. Which way am I going? Here we go, cool, awesome. So our first insight is our reconciled transactions insight, and this is based off the GST period completion from the overview screen, also the unreconciled transactions. And what this does is it gives you a breakdown of the last 3 GST periods and the reconciliation percentage. It also has a a building alert threshold. So if the data is not reconciled up to a certain point, for example, 50% at the end of the GST period, then an alert will be raised to ensure that the customer needs to be communicated to either do the bookkeeping or do the bookkeeping yourself if that's your job.
Is that an alert that's automatically sent out, or to me as an advisor, or to the customer?
So that it's an alert that's just presented back on the back on the overview screen. So with this 81% here, for example, you've got a red alert here, so you'll be able to click straight through to that customer, and then with this reconciled transactions insight, you can send the client a message in a few clicks. So it brings through an automated message when I press the send to client button with the customer's relevant data, and you can also edit that message, but it's literally 3 clicks to send the customer communication about a specific data area.
Yeah, great.
Awesome. So if there are some reconciling to do, you can also jump straight into to fix the problem. Sorry, not fix the problem, but reconcile the data. As I was saying before, with the reconciliation date and context, so if the data hasn't been reconciled up to the last complete month, we've got a red alert showing you that now, so you'll be able to jump onto that client and then also jump into Xero to quickly reconcile. So the idea giving you that quick workflow into these are the customers that I need to reconcile the most. The next insight in our data health section is our invoicing status, and the idea behind this is to give you context over how the customer is invoicing versus their average month for the last month for the last complete month, and also the month to date. We've had a bit of I guess feedback based on this, and the idea is that we want to actually turn this into more of a trend. So it shows accountants and bookkeepers how they're invoicing from a start to end throughout the month. So it's a bit more context. And the idea being that we want to also bring in that the customer invoice information. So you'll be able to see and have conversations with your clients about how they're actually being paid by their customers. So what their dependency on them, their risk, for example, what the percentage of revenue is if they pay on time, and what their average debtor days are showing, for example. So you can have a conversation quickly and easily and identify clients that might need help, changing their terms with a specific customer, which might increase their cash flow significantly. Awesome. So the next section is our cash flow forecast, and as I was saying, this is a plug and play cash flow forecast, and it breaks down 2 components. The first component being basically the cash transactions that happen in the bank historically, and then also the invoices and bill payments. If you think about those as 2 separate components, and we basically separate them out because one is historical, for example, in terms of the cash movements of the bank account, when money's going to operating expenses and when money's going to drawings and everywhere else, just tracking the cash movement of that bank account, versus the invoices and bill payments in a forecast obviously relate to the current period. So what we do is we look at the historical movements of those true cash bank account transactions, and then we look at the future invoices and bills to say, this is the forecasted spend and receipts based on the historical cash transactions, and then this is the expected invoices and bills to be received and paid. So you'll see a bit of a forecast here jumping up based on the money that's to be received on the 20th from those invoices. So it's a plug and play cash flow forecast that works for both invoice and bill customers, as well as, for example, point of sale cash transactions. And just to, I guess, expand on the feedback that we've had on this, we have had a lot of feedback saying that advisors want, or accountants and bookkeepers want to control their own forecast. And so we've come up with a proof of concept that we're testing, which is based around the cash flow table. But the idea being that you can pull through key metrics, for example, the key operating expense lines that you want to visualize, what are those key balance sheet movements, for example, but giving you a simple table that you can extrapolate out and almost create a budget for, for your small business owners, that they can look at one thing and understand this is actually how my bank account will move throughout the month, for the next 3 months or for the next 12 months. So giving accountants and bookkeepers that longer term scenario modeling is what we're hearing they want. So that's what we're going to build as an additional insight to our current cash flow forecast. As I said, this one was just supposed to be a plug and play forecast to identify if there are any risks with their customer, or if there are any improvements that they can do around their invoicing. Cool. The next insight is we don't have, hold on, damn it, that's not in there. We do also have a cash flow trend, which is similar to our cash flow forecast, but it gives you the true bank movements for the last 3 complete months. So similar view to the cash flow forecast, but it's based on the actual bank account movements. A really cool, I guess, feature of that specific insight is it uses, or it will be using the bank account statement balance, which doesn't need that reconciliation context. So we know that a lot of times when you're looking at the bank account or the bank summary information in Xero, it's not reconciled. So we can ensure that we're using the actual statement balance from the cash validation API to show the true movements of that bank account. So you can again have a conversation about your customers, how they're receiving and paying money to their customers and suppliers. Cool. All right, the next section is our taxes and compliance section, and this has a GST forecast showing you the last 3 complete months in the graph here, and then you've got the current month with the GST to date, and then a GST forecast. You've also got an average line to indicate where that customer usually sits in terms of their GST. So this customer's got a significant increase, and it's raised an alert to tell me to communicate to the customer, and then I can quickly and easily send this to the client in a few clicks. With regards to the GST to date and the GST forecast, what this calculation is made up of is the reconciled bank transactions. So we've got obviously the bank transactions that relate to the GST period that are reconciled, the GST, the net of those, and then with our GST forecast that looks at future invoices and bills that might not have been reconciled, for example, but they will be due in that GST period. So it takes into account those. But again, if you want to change or edit any of the text in the message, you can do so. Cool. The next section is the next insight is our income tax forecast. This gives a view of the current year-to-date income tax versus the previous year, and it looks at the year-to-date net profit up to the last complete month, and then compares that to the previous year to give an indication of are they up or down, and then what level of tax they should be saving based on their tax rate. We currently only account for company tax rates at the moment, but we do have plans in our roadmap, in our short roadmap, to account for individual tax rates, which will also have a journey where you'll be able to include the customer name and tax number, for example. So the idea is that we want to help accountants and bookkeepers automate their provisional tax information so they can send their clients information based on the current year's performance without having to do a lot of the manual work around the adjustments of interest, depreciation, all the things that they might not necessarily have in the current year file, but all those expenses that are there for the previous year. So how can we provide an apples with apples view? So what we've done is we've basically provided a adjusted view from our income tax forecast. And what that does is it extrapolates the net profit for the year to date to the end of the financial year, and then looks at the operating expenses that we're missing, that I'm missing for the current year to date, and then ones that were included for the last financial year, things like depreciation and interest. But with that calculation, we've had a lot of feedback to say give accountants and bookkeepers the control to configure that. So that's our next move, is to make that configurable, so you'll be able to adjust the calculation based on what you want to include and exclude. Also with the extrapolation of going from current financial year to the full complete financial year, you'll be able to adjust that based on the previous year as well, with a threshold, or sorry, percentage increase or decrease. So we'll make it quickly and easy to scenario model where your customers' taxes will be throughout the year. Cool. And the final section is our profitability section, and this pulls through the key profit and loss metrics from Xero and gives you the key summary values up the top. So we've got the current year to date versus last year, and this is up to the last complete month, so giving you an apples with apples view in terms of the year to date. And then you've got the June, so the last complete month versus the previous month, and sorry, this is not in context. And then you've got the current month. The current month doesn't actually have an alert or anything on it anymore. We've actually removed that, so only the current year to date and the last complete month have a comparative indicator on them. But these are our profitability insights, and these graphs are interactive, so you can basically highlight or include or exclude years, or make the months more visible just by excluding the years, for example. So we've got the direct costs, gross profit, operating expenses, and net profit. And with our this is the toggle on, toggle off, for example. So this is our send to client message. So when you go through the platform, you can click on that send to client, and then you can send either a single insight message, or you can send multiple. So if you want to send them, for example, an update in terms of how they performed last month, what their up and coming GST is, and what to save for income tax, you can do so in a few clicks just by clicking a few multiple insights on here, and it will format the message as per the screen, and you can edit that quickly and easily and send it off to your clients. And hopefully soon on the roadmap, we'll have the ability to bulk message. So any customers that are lagging or not returning emails based on information requests, or customers that you want to send out a profitability summary, for example, when the data is reconciled to the end of the month, we're trying to enable those automations to, make the accountant and bookkeeper more efficient, but also able to talk to all their clients at scale in the process.
Yeah, I love this facility that you can just click a button and send that notification, and yeah, just foster that communication between business owner and yourself, and without, like, with seconds, it takes seconds to do. So it's a great function, I think, of this tool.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. And with the send via up the top here with the email, we've both got an email that basically comes from Ada, so it's via you, but basically from Ada. And then the reply to function goes back to your email address, so the email address that you have plugged into Xero, because we've got Xero single sign-on. But we've also got the option to send out a mobile app message. So if you do have clients that would benefit from having information on their phone, we do have a mobile app, and the idea behind that was to give the small business owner the information that that they needed to ensure that their data, their taxes, their cash flow and profitability was all tracking in the right direction. So the same sort of thing, when you want to send your customer an email, you can also send them a mobile app message. And we do have plans to expand on that. We're just, I guess, listening to accountants and bookkeepers since we started this journey a few years ago. It's been all centered around how can we, be where the accountant is to try and help their small business owners be more successful. And that kind of comes down to ensuring that their customers have quality data, so they have and timely information. They have the ability to understand how they can improve their cash flow, and the ability to send out and talk to their accountant about cash flow, and then also the taxes, ensuring that the taxes are just covered, and then, you know, what are the key business drivers that are going to help that small business owner actually engage and grow? Because we know that if small business owners can grow, then essentially the service offering between the accountant and bookkeeper can potentially grow, especially if the accountant and bookkeeper is driving it.
Yep.
So yeah, we're really excited, I guess, about the future features that are coming. You know, we've had a lot of good feedback saying that we're on the right path, and if we create a bit more customization in terms of giving the power to the accountant and bookkeeper to control some of the insights, so you know, being able to create your own cash flow forecast with, you know, the default values that we can bring through from Xero, but allowing you to change it and configure it. So that's our, you know, that's our goal, is to make this the easiest platform for accountants and bookkeepers to configure for their clients, because we know that everyone's got a unique chart of accounts, and you know, you need to do things that don't necessarily work. Yeah, a calculation's never going to be, never going to work for all clients unless you can pick and choose what goes in it. So that's our goal from here, is to make it really configurable. And you know, I guess, you know, going back to the insights that we have, you know, our end goal is to make these all, you know, wages versus revenue and things that you know, you can actually talk to your client about, that they'll go, oh wow, I can now see that my wages versus revenue this year is actually twice as high as it was last year. What's going on? Oh, it's COVID or staff wages, or what's going, you know, just having those key performance drivers to have deeper conversations that, you know, I guess go beyond just revenue and net profit and whatnot, because we know that sometimes small business owners don't really grab onto things unless they, you know, see it in context of their day-to-day job, or you know, their kind of you know, their true business operations. So yeah, our whole goal is to try and make small business owners understand this, you know, through their accountant and bookkeeper. So hopefully you guys can join this journey with us and help us improve our product.
So
yeah.
this might be a good place to say, at the moment, it integrates with Xero only, but you've got plans for other software. So can you just speak to that for a moment, and whether people can add other, like is it only for integration with live data, or are there ways of using it, you know, for other clients that aren't on Xero?
Yeah, it's a good question, Joe. So right now we currently only connect with Xero. Our mobile app does actually connect with a range of other apps like Google Analytics, Intuit, you know, point of sale apps and whatnot. So there's a few other integrations, and you know, we'll eventually, you know, aim to plug those into the platform. But we also have, I guess, goals to integrate with MOB and Intuit and the other accounting apps. We've just been working, you know, I guess solely with Xero accountants, because it's, I guess, the access to the data is a bit higher with, you know, regards to you know, the Xero APIs and whatnot. So we can still power the same information with an MOB integration. And that's all in our roadmap. We just currently only integrate with Xero.
Yep.
Cool. I'll just jump into, with regards to a key area that something that we want to expand on, and we've kind of just started our journey, is with the area of data health. So we know that in doing, you know, regular bookkeeping with regards to, you know, keeping your clients' accounts up to date on a monthly or GST period basis, or a year end, for example, basis, ensuring that you've got the information to, you know, see that account, see that Xero file in its overview state. So right now you have to jump into Xero and figure out what's going on. And yes, there may be, you know, you may have done the bookkeeping, so you know what transactions have happened and whatnot. But you know, sometimes there's certain things that happen, or sometimes certain things get miscoded, or sometimes a motor vehicle expense might be an asset purchase, or I guess certain things can happen based on, you know, coding errors and whatnot. So we've I guess, taken upon ourselves to try and solve the problem of data quality. How can we look at the transactions that have been coded to specific accounts, for example, and then come up with, I guess, anomalies, or not anomalies, but transactions that don't look like they belong to this area, for example, due to a value because it's above a certain threshold, or because it's got different payee. I guess our proof of concept in terms of our data health alerts is to try and provide the accountant and bookkeeper the transactions and I guess the accounts that need to be looked at from a period by period basis. So ensuring that you can jump into the Xero file and go, all right, what do I need to do to get this account, client's accounts up to date for year end? I've got to raise interest. I've got to get the information for these fixed asset additions. I've got to, run depreciation. I've got to go through this process, but I don't necessarily have an automated checklist of the things that I need to do. So we almost want to create a job, a job based on that Xero file. And it's, the idea is to try and provide the accountant and bookkeeper the transactions and the information that they need to look at and confirm is correct and accurate, to then be obviously presented back to the client from annual accounts or GST reporting perspective. So
sounds like a bit of a combo between a data auditor and a workflow, generating a workflow process from that audit result.
Exactly, yeah. And I think it's, it's been born based on the pain points of, the timeliness of accounting, and the lag of accounting information always comes down to, if you don't have the information at the time, it's not easy to get to, for either the accountant or the client. But if you know that some transaction happened, like the client's gone and got they've just put $10,000 towards motor vehicle assets, and they've just, got a UDC finance loan, or they've got some loan approved, for example. Without knowing that until year end, it's not easy for the client to get that information. But if you have something saying, hey, to do this month, you should ask, this client for these pieces of information, or confirm that these transactions are correct and they've gone to the right place, then it gives you a way of ensuring that the data is, a quality standard, and it is confirmed by the client in a timely manner. And it also just makes that year-end checklist not such a burden for the customer at year-end. I mean, sending a client a year-end checklist to do all this, provide all this information, if you can automate that throughout the year and get the job done throughout the year, we feel like it'll, make all the information inside our platform a whole bunch more valuable. So if we can try and make that, data accurate and complete through helping the accountant and bookkeeper be more efficient in that area, then we believe that that time saved can then be used to communicate to the client and try and help the client succeed with their goals.
Great. Yeah, it's great having the overview to just give you a snapshot of what your priorities are, and I think especially for the bookkeepers who are actually hands-on looking after a lot of clients, this kind of tool can be really good to just say, okay, maybe I've allocated time for all these clients today, but which one's actually the priority, based on some of these alerts and the overview of the information, rather than drilling into each client through Xero. You've got this great snapshot here.
Yeah. And as I was saying, Joe, like, this is just the start of our platform. So we still don't have a public URL. We're still a very closed, working with a closed group of accountants. So looking to open that up soon. But with regards to the journey in terms of making this platform easy for you guys to use and whatnot, like this front end, and things will change. So this could turn into a to-do list. So instead of you coming to this platform, you might have like a welcome Joe page with a certain clients that you should talk to about their you know, these data issues, or certain customers that you should talk to about their net profit because it's gone up significantly and they should pay more tax and that sort of thing. So even going further in terms of that, managing by exception, you know, providing you with the engagement points that you can, you know, just jump through and talk to the client, and make sure that, you know, no client gets, you know, sort of left behind. But yeah,
great. And I think the other you know, potential I see for this is you know, especially for the people who perhaps aren't doing a lot of advisory work yet, but would like to move in that direction and offer clients. I'm thinking of the bookkeepers more here than the accountants, who probably already do that. But, you know, for us, a lot of us would like to get into that advisory services realm. Here is a you know, a platform that just gives you so much info straight away to make talking about that sort of advisory level with clients a lot easier, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And I think just with the mindset of, you know, setting goals, you know, advisory in terms of, you know, advisory can mean anything, but I think advisory in its true sense is adding value to the client. And if that means tracking their revenue and making sure that they're being accountable to their goals and their targets, then I feel like that is adding value to the client. You know, they don't necessarily care about gross profit and net profit, but if their accountant makes them care about it and then makes them be accountable for their monthly targets that they're setting and discussing with their, you know, accountant and bookkeeper, then I feel like that is, you know, that is advisory, because it gets engagement from the customer. You know, and it just needs to come back to, you know, what are those, you know, what are those small business customers' personal goals? You know, what's their 5-year goal, and then work back from work a backwards plan back into a monthly target. And
well, of course,
you know,
that's an interesting thing in itself, is how many people go into business without actually setting any goals. I'm sure a lot of us have had those conversations with clients and discovered that they just thought it was a good idea. They don't actually have goals set. They don't have a business plan. So these sorts of conversations can also inspire them to you know, pull up their socks in that regard, you know, set the goals, do the plans, you know, and then, as you say, be accountable to work towards it. You've mentioned the mobile app a couple of times. Is that something you can talk to? Is that for the business owners, for the advisors, for both? How does that work with the platform?
So the mobile app is basically a I guess it's an app for small business owners based on Xero, point of sale data, Google Analytics data. The idea is that it brings all the data into one spot, and we have a natural language understanding platform where you can basically ask questions about, you know, who owes me money this week, or who do I have to pay this week. You know, what are my top selling products? What were my sales by 12 p.m. today? It's got a whole bunch of answers built into it. But we found through, you know, user experience feedback and just feedback with our customers that small business owners just want something that if they can just ask a question about, or just have something that instead of asking a question, just tell me, you know, if I've got something to do. So again, almost being like a to-do list for the small business customer. So it's, you know, because you can't show them a bunch of, you know, net profit and gross profit metrics all the time. It doesn't matter until the data is reconciled and it's end of the month, and then it's a performance check and what they can do about it. But if they, you know, if they were to be able to come somewhere and say, well, when is my taxes due? You know, they can click on the tax part and say, you've got, you know, income tax, you should be saving this, and GST, you should be saving this for your next GST. You know, the due date is this, for example. So just making it easy for the small business owner to get the information they need. And that's something that we, you know, are going to be building on, that user experience. And we've just been focusing, I guess, on solving the, you know, accountant and bookkeeper problem in terms of, you know, trying to give them the time back, because we know that they're so everyone's so busy with the data and trying to make sure that the data is complete and accurate, and managing the clients in a reactive way. It's always really hard to proactively do a whole bunch of things. So how can we make that happen, and provide a workflow or a management tool where you can see what jobs need to be done, and what jobs what customers need to be talked to.
Great. So one of the questions I always ask our Tech Talk presenters is about the setup. So just tell us a little bit about, if somebody wants to give this a go, what's involved? And to set it up, integrate with Xero and start using it.
It's literally why isn't that going the right thing? So all you have to do is click I'm not a robot, I read the T's and C's, and then single sign on through Xero. It's just automatically logged me into my account. But essentially you just click your Xero single sign on, it'll ask you to log into Xero. And then you'll need to set up your practice with the practice address, and then you can also invite any accountants to that practice. So invite any people, and then that's it. The only setup that you need to do is when you connect a client, you'll be able to set the bank accounts that you want to see on their cash flow forecast, and then also the tax rate for the income tax forecast.
And you can select which clients you bring in, or is it the whole of your client list on Xero automatically?
No, so you select what clients you bring in. So just through the normal, just through the
through the drop down list, is it? Or
yep, through the drop down list, and you can do it one by one, or you can bulk select.
Okay. And so so we've selected a few clients that we want on the platform, and then it syncs immediately, and then this is what we're seeing. Is that right?
Exactly, yeah. So the data will load in, I guess, if you've connected a whole bunch of clients, it might be a couple of minutes. But if it's just a client or two, the data should load in a minute, and then you'll be able to see where the data's at, where their cash flow is at, in terms of their cash flow trend, for example, how their cash flow trend is going in terms of their last 3 complete months. And then income tax, GST, and profitability. And as I said, with these messages, you can send multiple really easily just by clicking in what periods you want. So I can select what period I want in there, and it will just insert. And again, with that, I'll just send it on here, just give you a preview, and it gives you a preview just of what's going on here.
Yeah, great.
Cool. And yeah, as I said, that comes through to both your email address as a CC, as a carbon copy, and then the reply to comes back to you when the customer responds.
Yep. And what about using this platform with staff? So, if you're a BAS agent with a couple of bookkeepers working with you, tell us a little bit about how that works.
Cool. So you can select on which advisor has access to what client. So here I can manage Craig and give him access to any of these clients. And then what that will do is on his platform, he'll be able to see these same clients. So you can manage, which colleagues see what clients at that level. We have had quite a bit of feedback around, I guess, client grouping. Also, obviously partner managers, having different views to, just the accountant or bookkeeper that deals with the client, for example. So we will be building in a bigger, I guess, sort of client management page. But
Okay.
essentially you can manage who has access to what clients in here at that level.
Mm.
Cool. And I guess the only other information is we've got a it's a 30-day free period. So
Yep.
you can test the platform for 30 days for free. And then you only have to put your credit card details in at the end of that 30-day period if you want to continue on with us. And as I said, we are at the early stages of our journey. We're still working with accountants and bookkeepers like yourselves to make this platform work for you and your practices. So yeah, we're looking forward to more feedback and more problems that we can help solve for the accountant and bookkeeper, and ultimately make the small business owner more successful.
Yeah, great. And tell us about the pricing for advisors. And
Cool.
is there a price for business owners as well? So how does that work?
So our pricing is currently just based on a $5 per client per month. If there are like a number of clients to be connected, then we're at the sort of early stage in our pricing that we will do deals based on if there's a lot of clients to be connected, for example. But yeah, we're currently just charging $5 per client per month. We will have additional, or with our mobile app being I guess that's also classed as an add-on. So also we're building out a monthly reporting feature. So you'll be able to brand and colorway a monthly reporting pack that you can send to your clients through a PDF or through an automated email as well. But essentially that'll be an extra $5 per client per month if you want to enable that feature, for example. But the base cost is just $5 per client per month.
Yep. Yep. And so from your perspective as an accountant, I mean, obviously you're biased because you've developed the thing, but as an accountant in practice, like what do you think are the top 2 or 3 features that really would make a difference to the bookkeepers and BAS agents and accountants wanting to look at this?
Yeah, I think having cash flow conversations, like opening up the door around cash flow conversations, if there are customers that are struggling with their cash flow, we want to take accountants and bookkeepers on a journey to try and solve that problem. And we will be going further than what we currently do by plotting those invoices and bills on there and what customers they relate to, so you have that information. So I feel like opening up the door around cash flow conversations with their customers, which customers might be able to change their invoicing terms to, for example, invoice on the 10th if they're always going below up until the 20th of the month, and then they get cash, for example. So again, just opening up those cash flow conversations. And then I guess with the profitability section is helping small business owners understand how they're performing, and then ensuring that they take steps to start tracking their key KPIs. I guess engaging with this information to say, hey, look, this is how you're performing. I think we should track this on a monthly and yearly basis and start setting some goals so we can ensure that your business is going in the direction that you want it. Because a lot of business owners, they will be open to it, they just don't know how to, I guess, do that without their accountant or bookkeeper being involved. So giving them the stepping stone to say, hey, look, this is something that I want to do. I want to track your key KPIs on a monthly basis, and ensure that you're being accountable to your goals, and ensuring that as an advisor, I can do anything and help you to improve in your situation. So I feel like turning the profit and loss information into something that the small business owner can understand is ultimately what the insights are all about. But yeah, I guess my favorite feature is still the overview screen, because just with the sorting functionality, I do the bookkeeping for a lot of my clients, and I have a lot of stuff to do, and I can see which clients I need to get rid of and which clients I don't. Shouldn't really be showing you my clients, but that's all okay. But yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, just jump back to here. Sorry. Cool. But yeah, the overview screen, I think, and I guess the next journey of where we can take the customer, with this information, because at the end of the day, it's all, the data is only relevant if it's the right time of the month and it's the right time for the accountant to talk to that customer or do that job. So it's almost, how can we build this platform to fit into your workflows, and then how can we enable that customization so the advisor can make it their own workflow, and make it their own jobs, because we know that not everyone's going to talk to their customers about all these different things, but if you can set it up so you have a platform that it does work for what you do for your clients, and what else you can do for them, I feel like it'll work. Yeah.
And I think, I mean, one of the things that I think is appealing for our market is that you can literally start with one client. So you can, and you're not going to be disadvantaged on the pricing, so you can pick one client and do the experiment for 3 months and see, what sort of conversations get started and what information you can give them, and if it really is valuable, and then sort of, go from there to a lot more of your client list. So I think that's great for our world, that we're not kind of locked into the minimum plan being actually more than we need.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's
exactly.
great.
And with that free period as well, you can see how it would work for your practice. So connecting all the clients, as the partner or manager, or the lead accountant or bookkeeper, you can see how you can manage all your clients at scale. So yeah, hoping that you guys will all give it a go, and really looking forward to feedback and whatnot, because this whole platform has been driven by accountants and bookkeepers, I guess, giving us feedback based on the solutions to their problems. So
yeah. Which is exactly how I got involved, is being one of the testers. So, I know that you guys respond to the feedback straight away. So I can attest to that as well. So, okay, it's been very quiet on the questions. We normally get more questions. So possibly that means that you've actually covered everything. Which is great. But now is your chance, people. If you've got questions for Phil in the last 5 minutes or so, please ask them now. Okay, and then you can also jump onto ada.ai website and book a demo if you would actually like to see it in action, and ask more specific questions for your clients. Then feel free to go and do that. And when I put the recording up on the website, there will be the contact details of the person, which won't be Phil, but it will be someone else that you can all connect with if you would like to sign up and take it further. So okay, no questions. Anything else you want to tell us, Phil? Right,
no,
what is the termination notice? We've got a question. Okay, so all right, so if you start paying for a client and then you decide you don't want the service anymore, what's the arrangement there?
So you can cancel the client at any time. It's a prorated, so if you cancel, for example, if you connect a client at the start of the period for the first few days, and then you cancel it a first few days into that period, we'll only charge you for the days that you had the client connected on the platform. But there's a 30-day free period, so you can go and connect all your clients, and then at the end of that 30-day period, only put the clients that you think it will work for example, or try and make it work for all of them.
Yes. Yep. Great. All right. Thanks, Lucy. Good question. Any other questions? What about timing in terms of MYOB and QBO? Like, is that sort of, you know, a 3-month plan, a 12-month plan? Or, because I know that in the bookkeeping world, you know, there's a lot of us that do have clients on several different softwares, and it would be great to be able to see them all in the one platform.
Yeah, I guess I can't give you a specific date, but I would say it wouldn't be in the 3-month, but it would be within the 12-month.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. All right. Well, look, that might be a wrap if there's no questions. I think yeah, we've probably covered everything. So seen all the features, seen a bit of a demo. It really is very easy to set up. I have done it myself, and it is very fast. And so you're not going to waste time in setting up and working it all out. And especially if you just want to play with a couple of clients in the trial period, you'll be able to use it, you know, very quickly and get insights. So yeah, I encourage you all to have a go. As usual, the recording will be up next week, and with the contact details, and you've got the link there if you want to book a demo. So Phil, thanks for showing us Ada and giving us a great overview of everything it does, and thanks everybody for attending, and we'll be back again next month. So we might say goodbye. Thank you, Phil.
Awesome. Thanks so much for the opportunity, Joe, and
Yeah.
thanks so much for everyone for joining. And yeah, it was really nice to introduce Ada, and yeah, look forward to, you know, hopefully some feedback and working with you guys to make this product work for you.
Yeah, great. Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody, and see you in a month.
Bye, guys.